minute 20. Do you know what that means? A minute 20? Literally a hole in the waveform. Also, listen to how close the piano's mic'd. Even like, look at the way, how cool. It all matches the story. Does that kind of make sense? Hey, welcome to Witza. Why is this song awesome? A place for the music lover and music producer to appreciate the production and songwriting techniques that shape the songs you love. Today, we're doing a track review of Everything I Wanted by Billie Eilish. Now, if you know someone who just loves Billie Eilish, this is a video you probably want to share with them because they'll love her even more after we uncover some of this song's hidden production secrets. Okay, so who am I and why should you listen to me? Hi, I'm Chris LaRue. Nice to meet you. I'm a composer for a living and I write for TV and documentaries, both library and score to picture. I used to work in Los Angeles on the Hans Zimmer campus for several years, but after that, I work on my mobile rig now. Me and my wife both work remotely, so we can travel all over the place. And we do travel a lot. We have a travel vlog and travel tips, and she's awesome. Before you go, you should definitely check it out. You'll love her. Okay, onto the song. So we're going to talk about 5 things that I think make this song awesome. These are things that either A, helped the story move along, or just interesting to me, so I thought I would share. The first are the little production nuggets the producers threw in there. Second is just how dark this song is. Third is this little invisible sidechain kick thing I'll talk about. Fourth is intimacy. And fifth is the song structure. But before we do that, what is the story of the song? I saw some interviews with Billie Eilish talking about the song. Apparently it's about a dream that she had, or a nightmare. It could have been a nightmare. She jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and committed suicide. The people she thought would care about her didn't and started talking bad behind her back when she's gone. So that's in the verses and terrible. But then the chorus opens up to this contrasting thing of her brother's love for her and how he supports her and that love that she feels from her brother. So with that in mind, let's talk about 2 production nuggets I found that really help get the story across and get the emotion across for us, the listener. Into headphone world. Here I have a session file that I created of the different elements of the song and when they come in, when they come out, and kind of get my head around what's happening here. So here's the first production nugget.
When my head was underwater.
Okay, let's play that again.
When my head was underwater.
This effect here.
Head was underwater.
How cool. The producer chose a creative effect here to simulate the sound of being underwater. That's accomplished by filtering out the upper frequencies. It's even like tossed through a reverb to make it sound more distant, as if it's like more distance from the surface. And it's put through like some kind of distortion, like a guitar amp or something, to add a bit of grit that represents like distress. So reverb for distance, grit and distortion for distress, and the filtering for like being underwater. Like, how cool. What a cool little production nugget. So that's the first one, is the underwater filtering I wanted to share with you. The second is when she says the word weak. Listen to what happens here.
They called me weak.
Did you catch that?
They called me weak.
Okay. Hear that? Notice the voices whispering into your ears from both the left and the right speakers. Just on the word weak, it's like someone's gossiping into your ear. And that sentiment of gossip we get by hearing the word weak whispered in both of our ears is exactly the sentiment intended for the listener to feel, because it represents all the people she thought would care about her actually not caring about her at the end. One more time.
They called me weak.
Now this whispering thing is a small little detail, but it helps get the story across. And it's little details like this that go unnoticed, but not by you. You don't miss these things. That's why you're here. Now we go into more details like this for the musically curious, someone who just wants to appreciate the song more. There's much more detail in the video link in the description. If you're a producer who wants to increase their chops, we go into some production secrets that you're gonna love. So video link in the description. Part 2.
Darkness.
Billie Eilish sounds so unique in the song she does. From what I normally hear, it sounds so dark. I mean, granted, what I normally hear is Ed Sheeran.
Gonna go see my boy, Ed Sheeran. Wow.
That's besides the point. But the overall sound of this thing has like a covered sound, like a really muted, like someone put a blanket over the speakers kind of sound, up until the chorus where it pulls that blanket off and it feels like you can breathe again. So before I get to what it means technically, think about it poetically. Like, the verses are the dark suicidal bits that she's talking about and the gossiping about her that she's talking about, and the chorus is about her and her brother's love. So when the verses feel this like claustrophobic dark feeling, and when this filter's just crushing all the high frequencies, that is the feeling of the verses, and the chorus opens up and you can feel like you can breathe again with this brother's love that she feels.
And you say, as long as I'm here, no one can hurt you.
When her brother supports her, it feels like this opening up, this lightening of the load, pressure releasing. So how cool that poetically it all matches the story. So technically, what does darkness mean, or like how do you produce darkness in a musical track? Like if I were to say like, hey, can you make that piano darker? Where would you start? What would you do? So I can't cover it all here, but in essence, the producer stripped out the high frequencies and left you only with darker frequencies. This has an effect of taking out energy. Now, I was confused about what taking out energy meant for the longest time, but I've narrowed it down to like two main ways of thinking about it. Okay, the first is taking out like the vitality of the instrument. So if you've ever been on your iPhone editing pictures and you desaturate the image, you take out the color tool. It's almost like black and white. It kind of sucks the life out of the picture. And that's kind of what filtering does. It's taking out that vitality, that life, the high frequencies, the characteristics of it that give it color. That's kind of what filtering is doing to the instruments. And the second way of looking at it is kind of nerdy and scientific, but it's really interesting and helpful. So sound is energy and its frequencies. The high frequencies are really, really fast, and low frequencies are much slower, longer waves. So when you think about it, when you take out high frequencies, you're actually taking out those really, really fast moving high energy frequencies, and you're only leaving these slower, more lethargic waves. Even scientifically, you're taking out fastness and energy. Kind of cool. Okay, so that was part 2, which is like the darkness of the song that made it really awesome. Part 3 is an invisible sidechain kick. Watch, there's a technical thing that's kind of cool, and there's a poetic thing that's kind of cool. Okay, so when I first heard the song right off the bat, I was like, that's interesting. The piano plays, it pumps, but there's nothing to like facilitate the pumping of it. So you've all heard dance tracks before where it's like you hear a kick, and then you hear a synth kind of swell into it. It's like, see what I'm saying? Super embarrassing. Here we go. The difference here is that there's no kick to facilitate the piano swelling back in. I'll show you what I mean. Listen to this. Right? Okay. Do you hear that like hole that's missing there? You hear like the attack of the piano, then it gets sucked out, and then it kind of comes back. Watch, listen. Invisible kick. But just look at the waveform. See this waveform on this first beat? When you hit a piano note, you just go, and it goes bing, and it slowly decays. Look at this waveform. This waveform starts off small and then grows. The piano's going just like that synth in the dance track. That's happening right here. So technically, kind of cool they have an invisible kick that's pumping it without anything else. But poetically, what does that say about the story of the track? The track's called Everything I Wanted, and there's something missing. In the same sense here, the piano's acting like everything's there and fine, but when you listen to it, it's not fine. There's literally a hole in the waveform of what should be there that's missing. Super cool, right? And even like think of the frequencies that it's taking out. It's like you're missing frequencies as the artist is missing another vitality in their life. Does that kind of make sense? All right, here it is again on the track. And listen, it's the sound of something missing. And producers do this all the time. They have these like little Easter eggs in to help tell the story, because we've all heard a guitar before. We've all heard a piano before. How do we make something sound interesting? How do we get this specific story across? And it's little things like this that help propel the song in subliminal ways. So super, super cool. Okay, so that's part 3, Invisible Sidechain Kick. Really cool. Again, if you want more information about this stuff, technically for the producers, and if you're just curious about this stuff, musically curious, go ahead and click the link in the description, and there's a video that shows you more detailed stuff about that. On to part 4, Intimacy. Sorry, that was super awkward. Okay, so the next thing I noticed about this Billie Eilish track is just how intimate it sounds. Like poetically, this song is about some really vulnerable things. The producers choosing to make this a really, really intimately recorded thing is the proper choice. They've recorded her voice so close to the microphone that you can hear like lip smacks and like tongue movements and stuff. Like listen to the delicacy of the D sound when she first says, "I got everything I wanted." Listen.
I got everything I wanted.
Do you hear that? Listen to that D again.
I got everything I wanted.
Even like look at the waveform. There's that D. Right there. Oops, don't move the thing. Right there. So like they've recorded her so close. It's so intimate. It's like a whispered secret to us, the listener. Also, listen to how close the piano's mic'd. Like you can hear the hammers going up and down and like hitting the strings. So intimate. I mean, do you get it? Do you kind of hear what I'm talking about? That intimacy with the close mic and the intimacy with the close mic piano. These elements play together to like get you right next to her as she's singing these things to you. Again, these things all add up to one well-told story. But in the video link in the description, I go into more detail for the producers and stuff, how to pull out this intimacy more than just like close miking a vocal like this. How do you pull that intimacy out even more through effects? I go into that in the video link in the description. Okay, so the fifth and final thing about what makes this song awesome is the song structure. And, you know, at first I was like, this is a normal song. This is all fine. There's nothing abnormal about this thing. But then I was like mapping it out. Like, see, I have this session file here that I've mapped out to kind of get my head around what's going on. And I noticed this little mini chorus verse thing. It wasn't a chorus. It wasn't a verse. It wasn't a pre-chorus. It wasn't a bridge. It wasn't a post-chorus. It wasn't a B section. Nothing. I don't know what to call it. I just called it like a verse chorus. I'll show you what I'm talking about here.
If I'm being honest, it might have been a nightmare.
Could have swore that was the chorus when I first heard it. Then the actual chorus came in.
And you say, as long as I'm here.
And sometimes artists do this thing where they have a chorus up front and then they go into a B section or a post chorus, and it's just much bigger than the chorus actually was. This is not that case. This chorus here.
And you say, as long as I'm here.
Is followed by a verse, not a post chorus, not a B section.
I tried to scream.
See what I'm saying? So this section I'm talking about here is sandwiched between two verses, both in the first one here and in the second verse here. It's actually doubled as well. So what is happening? What is this thing? What is this? Can you, in the comments, if I'm just like missing something that I haven't heard before, let me know what this thing is. Otherwise, I'm going to be calling it a verse chorus or a little mini chorus thing. But it works. I didn't notice it because musically it fits so well. And the reason it does is because this first chorus, the proper chorus, does not come in until a minute 20. A minute 20. Do you know what that means, a minute 20? The first chorus, I mean, typically should come in at like 45 seconds. The whole point of this is to have the listener engaged and to keep them from like clicking away. So having a chorus at a minute 20 is pretty risky. And I've heard some reviews saying like, oh, the song takes a while to get going. And perhaps this chorus coming in at a minute 20 is the reason why. Or you can say that that's why it's so crucial to have this little mini chorus thing section here to keep the listener engaged right in between a back-to-back verse. Again, here's that section here.
Honest, it might have been a nightmare.
And here it is on a second verse.
Like I'm not just somebody's daughter, it could have been a nightmare.
And it ends with this.
I don't wanna let him down.
Could have sworn that was the chorus the first time I heard it.
I had a dream.
See what I'm saying? It's weird. It's cool, but it's not this.
As long as I'm here.
So, good on you, Billie Eilish, or her brother, or whoever produced this, whoever made that decision. Like, bold, very bold. Well done, paid off. Okay, now if you're an ever-learning producer and you want to increase your chops, there's two extra options for you. Number one, if you have a song you want private feedback on, like your own personal song, there's a link in the description that helps you get that song to me. I could take a look at it and tell you what I love about it or what I think might make it even better. So that's the first option. The second option is if you want this Logic file as a song preset There's MIDI regions in there that show exactly where the instruments come in and come out, and you can use it as a template or a Go song to write your own dark pop track and, you know, make it your own, of course, but the structure of a hit song is right there for you. And if you're not on Logic, I also have it available as a MIDI file so you can load it in Pro Tools or Cubase or whatever you have. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and then you can help me out by doing any number of 3 things. One, if you really appreciate the song and want to go even more in depth of what makes this song awesome, we expose even more secrets in the video link in the description. 2, we have merch for sale to represent yourself. Are you musically curious, or are you an ever-learning producer? Rep your side at the store. And 3, of course, like, commenting, and sharing this video with a Billie Eilish fan or someone who just loves this song so they can appreciate it even more. That will help too. And if you have another song in mind that's just come out, drop it in the comment section and I can take a look at it. Until next time, be curious, be ever-learning, and be awesome. Was that pretty terrible? I don't know. I'm really bad at catchphrases. I should just leave.